because he wore a green driving suit and was about 6'4". So just coming up to the start now, it's a tremendous field, huge revival in these cars throughout the world.
So we're getting ready to go now. Mark Dwyer in car 54 to lead them away from Tony Richards. Richards did a great job yesterday. A fastest lap of 1 minute 59.3669. Oh, contact already on the front straight.
Holy goodness me, wow.
And there's more than a penny or two, as we said yesterday, tied up in these cars. We saw an incident at turn 3 yesterday involving Kenny Smith and Michael Lyons. Unfortunately, that's left Kenny Smith's car with a fair bit of damage. He's not been able to take the restart or take the start of this race here today. Michael Lyons was scheduled to start, but has incurred some sort of problem, John, on the siding lap. So
they repaired the car, but obviously something happened to it, because on the siding lap he was out of the car and pushing it backwards. So that incident on the main straight, this just shows how delicate you have to be with open wheel cars. A couple of cars touch wheels and the next thing you know there's an accident going on. So these guys are not professional drivers, they're amateurs, and you know, it's pretty serious stuff out there.
Need to keep an eye out for Ken James as well in the Elfin. Did a terrific job yesterday from 33rd position on the grid, finished in 12th place, and John, it's only his 3rd open wheel race. A guy that's had some experience in sports sedans in years gone by, but he's picked up this car and really did a good job yesterday.
Ken James used to do some Oscar racing at Calder Park and some sports sedan racing, and he's bought the car that was owned by Gary Cooper, who was Elfin Cars and was the brains behind Elfin Cars. And I actually drove that car once in 1978, and it seems like only yesterday. It's been driven by some fairly famous people, including Vern Schuppan and Didier Peroni. And Ken did a fantastic job yesterday. Like these are difficult cars to drive, so to come through the field like that, I can't see him on the screen there though, so he still must be back a bit.
For our viewers that are watching for the first time, JB, we know about your great success in Australian touring car racing, but you've driven these cars, as you said a moment ago, and not just in the early part of your career. I want to wind back the clock 12 months. You drove one at Phillip Island. What was that like? What do they like to drive?
Well, I mean, I drove them in 79 and 80. Then we just had a
car 30, Ian Clements, in one of the 7 Lolas that occupied the top 7 spots at the end of yesterday's first race.
They obviously have, you know, the brake bias is sensitive on them like it is on all cars, and he locked up the rears and just speared off. But getting back to driving them, they are big raw cars. I hadn't driven one for 28 years, so it was fairly, like, you don't forget it, but you forget the rawness of it and the way they erupt out of corners. They're 500 horsepower, they weigh about 600 kilos, so their power to weight ratio is pretty quick. And, you know, they get your attention, I can tell you that.
Wide rear wheels, narrow fronts. They seem like they're quite a darty car. They must be terrific, are they?
Little 13-inch front wheels. The brakes are quite reasonable, but not as good as modern-day cars, because you can't put a big brake in a 13-inch wheel. And, yeah, lots of grunt, lots of torque. From slow corners, they bounce out of it almost. You know, they're really serious, manly cars.
The category was embraced as an Australian national championship in 1970, running alongside Formula 2, but its origins really date back to the United States in the 1960s. Car 63 in trouble. That's Robson, was running as high as 4th place.
Yeah, he's a local guy. He's a very good driver, and most of these cars are from New Zealand, a few from the UK. There's only about 3 or 4 in Australia that are active.
Because this Tasman Revival Series has got some great energy behind it.
These two guys at the front of the field having quite a carve up.
Mark Dwyer is in car 54, And the 23 entry is Tony Richards, the fast man from yesterday. Both of them driving Lolas, and the Lola has quite a signature look about it, a very distinctive look, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. The front one's a T400 and the rear one is a T332. I mean, the T400, for any of the train spotters out there, was the later model, but it had a rising rate suspension on it, which didn't work so well. So most of the 400s ended up with 332 running gear. Now that's very train spotter, isn't it?
So down toward turn 9. Look at it dance under brakes on the bumps. Mark Dwyer holds down first position. Maybe a bit of a drama. Richards looking to pounce. There's a problem.
He's got a problem
for Mark Dwyer. What a shame.
I thought he might have missed a gear, but it's obviously...
Something did look like it came off the car there at the back. You pointed out yesterday that they have a rolling start in this category, but that's for a good reason.
Not so sure that was a good reason.
Yeah.
Gee, he's lucky he didn't get cleaned up by the field, isn't he?